Good morning and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, NASCAR, Masters preview, everything podcast. We cover it if it's on, if we can bet on it, if we can play fantasy in regards to it. With me on this Sunday morning, this week 10, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
Good morning, Kyle. It's been an exciting season to date, and this weekend is even more weird with the way that they've split this schedule because of the aforementioned Masters, and they want their ratings to go up. So we got a split slate of 5 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon. So this is making betting a lot more fun throughout the day.
Yeah, and it's nice for us too, because typically, especially for out here on the West Coast, we get 75 games in the morning and then like 1 in the afternoon. So to see the combination is really nice. Shouts to everybody hopping in as you join the show. If you have start sit questions, if you have other questions, if you have betting questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we will get to them as they pop up. A few things I do want to hop into, Brian. There's some weather. We got Houston, Cleveland, which is gonna look like it's gonna. And I'm pulling all this information from Roto Grinders. They have like a weather guy that pulls all the information. So it looks like 25-mile-an-hour winds in Houston and Cleveland, meaning it's probably gonna set up a lot like the Raiders Browns game, and that has me seriously concerned about anybody that doesn't play running back.
Yep.
As we were talking this morning, obviously I was on Baker Mayfield in a couple leagues, and I have since pivoted. Drew Lock is available, Daniel Jones is available. Those kind of names could make sense depending on who else is on your waiver wire. Obviously, if you have better names, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can give you some feedback. But outside
I think it also frees up like that using the Browns in fantasy on a one-off with Myles Garrett's ability to get to the quarterback and with Houston's limited ability to be able to throw the ball today with that wind. I think there's a possibility of some turnovers, and that's kind of what you're looking for is a cheaper kind of defense, 100%. Especially a DFS.
Yeah, throw it up in the wind, it gets hung up, falls right into the safety's hands, going the other way. Are we all over Duke Johnson? Like, I know David Johnson hasn't been great. I know this offensive line doesn't block. Duke Johnson, a lot of his excitement comes from those, quick passes, the screens, the draws, that kind of stuff. But with this terrible wind, do we think maybe there's something else they could do? Maybe the offense is just terrible and we shouldn't be starting any of these guys. What do you think about it from the Texans running back? Because obviously from the Browns side, Nick Chubb's back. He should run wild. Kareem Hunt should be just fine. But I have Duke Johnson in some lineups, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, if it's a PPR league, I feel pretty confident that he's going to see, a good 6 to 8 targets in this game, especially with the wind being what it is. So they're probably going to see a lot more short passing. And neither Buddy Howell or the call up of CJ Procise strike any kind of fear in me in terms of like taking away touches, especially for an offense that isn't the greatest running the ball to begin with. So I see Duke playing about 80% of the snaps, getting in 15 to 18 touches as a floor. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in a good floor game from him.
Yeah, especially with the heavy winds, it might be a lot easier just to throw those 2-yard passes. So in PPR, maybe just rack up those, even if it's 10 catches for 12 yards. It's 12 catches.
Yeah.
In the similar area, we got Pittsburgh, we got Cincinnati, we got another crazy wind game. They're saying 20 to 30-mile-an-hour winds. Are you comfortable playing Juju and Claypool? And I have T. Higgins in some lineups, and he's now heading to the bench in those lineups. I don't know what to do with the pass catchers because that game between the Browns and Raiders really the wind, you could tell how much of a difference. Like, I don't mind a little snow, I don't mind a little rain, but when it's that windy, the passing game just kind of goes to shit.
Yeah, I think it really is going to come down to which way the wind is blowing. We know traditionally there in Pittsburgh, the wind likes to blow kind of all over the place, and it'll more than likely blow sideline to sideline, which will definitely hurt any of the wide receivers in that game. And I have T. Higgins in a couple lineups that I'm now scrambling to figure out what I'm going to do. But that being said, like Cincinnati's bread and butter is the passing game, and they're gonna have to try to figure out ways to get the ball down the field through the air. And I'm less worried in that game than I am in the Houston-Cleveland game.
Okay. So if that's the case, we got Tyler Boyd, we got Antonio Brown, we got Robbie Anderson, and we got Travis Fulgham. We have to pick two. What you got?
Well, there's supposed to be some 20 to 25 mile per hour winds down there at the Meadowlands as well. So New York is going to have some wind with Philly and the Giants. So I would probably go with AB and Robbie Anderson down in the Carolinas, where the weather is supposed to be really nice. We saw AB play like 88% of the snaps, which we were told that he was going to see anywhere from 10 to 35, according to Bruce Arians, and that was not the case.
Bruce Arians completely continues to lie to our face. That's not a problem.
And everyone knows how pissed off Tom Brady is, so I want his pass catchers this week. And then Robbie Anderson is the number one guy for the Panthers.
Robbie Anderson is the dunk for me. I'm going Fulham. I'm looking at this. It says there's going to be rain and possibly some wind late, but it should be okay, and it's increasing from 10 to 15 to 15 to 20 mile an hour. So Fulham gets so much volume from Carson Wentz. I know Rager's back. I know Goddard's back, but he gets so much work. I have to go there.
Quick note, real quick. Actives and inactives in the morning. Both Kevin King and Jair Alexander for the Packers have been ruled out.
Ooh.
So even with the horrible win there in Lambeau, there is the potential of Jacksonville wide receivers exploding this week.
Are we going? We're trusting Jake Luton for a second week on the road in Green Bay.
I'm not saying to trust him. I'm just saying it makes it more. It makes it more likely you're playing DJ Shark regardless of the weather.
DJ Chark or T. Higgins?
Oh man, I'd probably go Chark just because he's the number one guy there. And dude, I love T. Higgins and Chark burned me last week. He absolutely balled out, but I would probably lean Chark.
Would you play Robbie Anderson over both of them?
Yeah.
Would you play Tim Patrick over both of them?
Now that's an interesting. I like the Broncos pass catchers too. The only thing that I worry about in that game is that if Las Vegas is able to control the clock and the game kind of stays close because of that, I think we see maybe Denver kind of throttle it down. There's not as much passing, but Tim Patrick has been the number one go-to guy down the field for Drew Lock. So I probably would lean Patrick this week.
So the Buccaneers are supposed to get into Carolina, in the middle of the day yesterday, and I guess they didn't get in till the middle of the night. Do you care about that at all? These
guys are professionals, man. What is it, like a late night for them? They go to bed, they wake up a little bit later, they go to the office, and they clock in. We all do it at work every day.
Yeah. I know. For the linemen, for some of the bigger guys, it's probably not fun to sit on a plane that long or whatever, but they're probably okay. So Scary Terry or Will Fuller?
This is McLaurin all day, every day. This dude is a top 10 wide receiver. We've been talking about him since the end of last year, beginning of this year, as a guy who is an absolute stud. Yeah,
if the wind was if there was no wind and they were playing in Houston, I might be a little more optimistic on potentially looking at Fuller. But with that weather conditions, it's McLaurin. It's pretty easy for me. Looking at Adam Schefter's timeline to make sure nobody is going to be out. Kenyon Drake, it looks like he's going to play today. It's obviously going to be a game time decision, but it seems to be trending that way. Do you trust him if he plays? And what do you do with Chase Edmonds if Drake is active?
To the first question, hell no, I don't trust him. To the second question, I think this actually makes Chase Edmonds an even more intriguing DFS play this week because people are
Totally.
probably going to be off of him with the return of Kenyon Drake. It was reported this morning by Stefania Bell on ESPN that she's hearing around the facilities that yes, Kenyon Drake will return, but they by no means want to put too much on him, and they'll probably this will be closer to a 60-40 split in favor of Chase Edmonds. And this is a game where Buffalo is without three back-end defenders. Matt Milano is missing it once again. So this is the potential boom game from Chase Edmonds that we expected last week when he had the backfield all to himself.
Yeah, and Drake could start the game, take a hit funny, and miss the rest of the three quarters and then not matter.
Especially with them facing Seattle this upcoming Thursday, which is a huge game in terms of their divisional standing.
Carson Wentz or Deshaun Watson?
Carson Wentz this week.
Yeah, I think it's Wentz too. Like the Watson potential for me is interesting because you could, maybe he doesn't throw as much, but maybe he runs for 80 yards, has a little Lamar Jackson type game. I mean, we know that's the realm of outcomes, but could also have 2 picks and hurt you.
A couple fumbles.
What are we doing with the Dolphins backfield? Is it just there's even with Matt Breida out and the gas can out, there's just not enough interesting names, or is it if you need a touchdown, look at Jordan Howard? If not, maybe Salvin Ahmed makes sense.
I'm a little more excited to see what they do with DeAndre Washington, as opposed to rolling out Jordan Howard again. I mean, that guy, he's just been horrible. And then
but he falls to the end zone from the 1-inch line.
Now, Ahmed, you mentioned him earlier this week on one of our pods, and I went back and I kind of looked at the highlights of the game and I looked at his numbers, and yeah, he was a much more efficient runner in smaller amount of touches than Jordan Howard. And I do think if Washington is not active this week, I think it's actually going to be Ahmed who's the guy, especially if they're trailing against the Chargers or if this game's close where they're trying to move the ball down the field in 2-minute drills, that gets the majority of the work. And it's Jordan Howard again relegated to the little plotting short yardage situations. And then Ahmed puts up a similar style game that Miles Gaskin was doing, 12 carries, 40 yards, 5 catches, 30 yards, which would be, a nice surprise for somebody.
A little trade review for our boy C-Dog. He got A.J. Brown, got Deshaun Watson, got James Robinson, gave up Lamar Jackson, Michael Thomas, and Chris Carson.
I hope it's quarterback premium 6-point touchdowns, because it is hard trading for a quarterback when you're giving up position players.
Well, he gave up Lamar and got Deshaun, so he swapped. There was a swap there. Then he swapped Michael Thomas for AJ Brown, and then he swapped James Robinson for Chris Carson. I like that trade. AJ Brown's been a stud. Deshaun, I think, is
except for last week where he can't. He looked like Nelson Aguilar. He looked like Nelson Aguilar.
I don't want to talk about that game. That game was bad. That game was so frustrating. But I think AJ Brown will be great down the stretch. Although Michael Thomas has been a stud, but the Deshaun for Lamar and the James Robinson for Chris Carson, I think, is going to be good. Carson just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So it's basically a 3 for 2. And as much as I love Michael Thomas, I think you did well. We have a few more trades: Mike Williams or Brandon Cooks. I'm typically a huge Brandon Cooks homer, but with those wins, I have to go Mike Williams.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Mike Williams has developed a pretty nice rapport as the second guy with Justin Herbert, finally turning into the first round pick that the Chargers thought they were getting. Yeah.
What are we, Herbert's quietly becoming an every week must start play. We talked about names like Jared Goff that we really like this week. Is there any scenario where you're sitting Justin Herbert unless you have an absolute stud?
No, I mean, dude, he's been right in the conversation with a Kyler Murray, a Josh Allen, a Russell Wilson on a week-to-week basis. This guy is consistently putting up low 20s, mid 20 points every single week because they've put the ball in his hands, and his rushing floor is something that I don't think we expected, especially in the fantasy industry coming into the year. If he was to take over, like, it's something that is just added to what he's able to do with his arm talent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was something at Oregon that he would flash every so often.
Yep.
But Mario Cristobal's an idiot and doesn't know how to run plays, so that's part of the problem. It is funny, though, that they waited till the Rose Bowl to finally break that out, and he looked like freaking Michael Vick running up and down the field. So it's interesting how that works. Just running through some inactives, actives, all that good stuff. So Christian McCaffrey is out, so that means Mike Davis season is back on. Joe Mixon is out. Gio Bernard season is back on. Anything you're keeping an eye on as we head into the slate, or any betting movement that's garnered some of your attention?
Well, like we talked about pre-show, I was up late last night looking at the lines and just kind of monitoring and seeing where stuff was going. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see how, like, the Packer game has kind of settled right around 13. It's currently 13.5 on most books, and it's really difficult to lay that kind of number when you're expecting a game where the offenses are going to be limited in what they're able to do with a wind and something like that. And then this kind of plays into what Jacksonville wants to do, which is keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, as the Packers have been pretty bad at defending against the run. So I think that game could be some good value now, hedging and going with Jacksonville with the pretty much 2 touchdowns. And then I noticed the Eagles are starting to creep up into the 5.5 range against the Giants, as probably the big money people are coming in finally and saying, you idiots betting on the Giants right now when Philadelphia is getting completely healthy this week on offense. This is probably a game where the Eagles offense looks as good as what we thought we were going to get coming into the year, with Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, Alshon Jeffrey might be active this week. Travis Fulgham told it, like you said, he's turned into a legit star. Jalen Reagor is healthy. I really think the Eagles lay the beat down on the Giants today, so I like that line. And then I think my favorite one still is chilling there at Buffalo. They're continuously, the line is getting bigger. They're now a 3-point dog with all those injuries on the defensive side of the ball, which, yeah, that's okay. Arizona's going to score on them. But is Arizona going to stop them? So, like, give me the 3, and I still like Buffalo to win down there in the desert.
Crazy. I'm just running through some numbers. I think the under in Jacksonville Green Bay could make a ton of sense. It's sitting at 47 right now. If we expect it, there'll be a windy and heavy run games. I think it could make sense. I do want to mention there is a college football game for those of you that want to mix up your screens today. We have a little
that's right.
Cal UCLA decided that they're going to play this morning, so that's fun. But at least there's a line on it. We get to bet, so that's all that matters.
Okay, real quick, back to the wind game in Cleveland here. The winds in that game are supposedly blowing from end zone to end zone. Now, that does definitely change the effect of the wide receivers in that game, because if you're going with the wind, you're going to see these teams take shots down the field. And especially with Houston and a Will Fuller, for instance, I mean,
yeah, so they're going to be they're going to be very boom bust. So if you're looking for tremendous upside and you don't really have anything reliable, they make a little more sense, but it's going to be like one target, and hopefully it's on target and it falls into his hands, and he ends up, Baker's throwing it 65 yards through the air because of the wind and ends up in the end zone. So I'm looking to avoid those areas if I can, but that does help a little bit. That game against the Raiders has me shook, and I can't forget about it.
Yeah, and just like I was talking about with Chase Edmonds down there in Arizona, as he'll be under-owned, this is also a week where Kareem Hunt will likely see lesser ownership in the DFS realm with Nick Chubb coming back. But Kareem Hunt has been more effective when Nick Chubb is there. Kareem Hunt has over 15 receiving yards and like 3 receptions in every single game that Nick Chubb has ever played.
Yeah,
So
he actually played much better and was basically like.
So I do think that Kareem Hunt, if you have him on your rosters, like he's a smash start for me this week as well. Like especially we don't know what kind of like percentage or snap percentage the Browns are going to divvy out here.
Let's talk Rams Seahawks for a bit. From the Seahawks side, Chris Carson's out, Carlos Hyde's out. Are we going back to DJ Dallas?
I'm going for the round tripper and Travis Homer this week.
Oh, ding ding ding. But so I'm just trying to figure out from the overall game. Like, I want to say Darrell Henderson's the best running back, but Sean McVay likes to play random guys each week. He'll probably bring Cam Akers out of the doghouse and give him 20 carries for no reason. But do we think the running backs are interesting in this spot, or do we want to just focus on the passing game and kind of ignore the mess that is both backfields?
Honestly, I don't see a world where Sean McVay doesn't take advantage of this Seattle pass defense that is like historically bad right now. They, especially to the wideouts, who is where the Rams have been funneling the majority of their passes to this year. The Seahawks have given up 300 more receiving yards to wide receivers in one less game than the next worst team in the NFL. They're giving up close to like a 72% catch rate against wide receivers this year. Last week they allowed 3 wide receivers over 70 yards against Buffalo. I see the Rams coming out, running their high-powered, no-huddle offense, maybe running the ball 2 or 3 times on the first drive, but it's going to be a ton of passing for Jared Goff. I think he approaches 40 to 45 attempts this week. I think all 3 of those guys on the outside, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Josh Reynolds, all see anywhere from 6 to 8 targets minimum, with all getting 4 to 5 receptions in the game, with all eclipsing 50 yards, and maybe like a 2 or 3 touchdown game from Robert Woods as being that jet sweep guy near the goal line.
Are you interested in the tight ends there, Higbee or Everett or both?
They kind of worry me because they haven't been directing passes to those guys this year. I feel like they've kind of supplemented that part of their offense in the jet sweep game and the little shovel passes and stuff like that. So I'm kind of staying away from those guys.
Let's talk about the Lions game. We got a question in the chat. I'm looking at the numbers. It's really interesting. So it opened at 5.5 for the Lions. It's down to 2.5. Everyone's all over Washington, getting 40% of the bets, yet 60% of the money. Is this just because Kenny Galladay is out and doesn't the Lions offense just hasn't looked good, or people just lining up to bet Alex Smith?
I'm on the side of Washington just because I like their defense. I think last week was kind of an anomaly. They put themselves in some pretty bad spots. And, Detroit's offense is not the same minus Kenny Galladay. I know. And then I also do think that there is a pretty big effect of TJ Hawkinson injuring himself this week. I know he's active today, but we'll see how effective he is with that toe injury. Like, gosh forbid it's turf toe, which – if anybody knows about that throughout the years, like guys miss multiple games because of injuries like that. And if he were to go down during this game, you're looking at, an anemic Lions offense here. And then Washington, they're really good. They're really stout against the run. They're really stout in preventing running backs from getting receptions. I saw a stat yesterday that Deandre Swift has 3 or more receptions in every single game this year. The Washington football team, they haven't allowed a running back to have 3 receptions this year. They're so good against running backs out of the backfield. They've been really stingy on the outside against receivers. I think that's why this line is so close, because Washington has been able to keep games so close. And let's not forget, Detroit is the worst run defense in the NFL right now. So Washington wants to run the ball. You're going to see a ton of Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic today.
Yep. Speaking of DeAndre Swift, we have a question. You got to pick 2: Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift, Gio Bernard, Duke Johnson.
Oh man, gotta love those 0 RB options here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go regardless of if it's half or PPR, I'm going to lean Chris Godwin. I do think that this Tampa pass offense wakes up today. And then of the three backs, I'm going to lean Giovanni Bernard just because he has a very defined role in this offense, minus Joe Mixon.
Yep. I think Godwin and Bernard are pretty clearly the answers. DeAndre Swift is definitely interesting, but it's Matt Patricia who is out of the Patriots coaching tree who hates running backs. Full PPR, DJ Moore or Travis Fulgham?
Give me the Eagles. Yeah. I love Carson Wentz this week. Give me Travis Fulgham. He had over 70 receiving yards against the same Giants team the last time they played, minus Dallas Goedert, minus Miles Sanders. Give me the Eagles offense.
I keep waiting for DJ Moore to be a thing, but it doesn't seem like it. Yeah, I think James Robinson absolutely goes off today. I think he has a monster game. I think if you're playing daily, he should be one of the running backs you look at, especially with Jake Luton under center.
The only thing I worry about, like a James Robinson, is the touchdown equity. I know he's seeing pretty much every single carry, but last week we did see them kind of seed some passing game work to Chris Thompson. And if this is a game where if the Packers are 2 touchdown favorites, and I know I said that it could be a lot closer because of the wind, if the Packers are able to get out to a big lead and Jacksonville is, playing a lot of hurry up and stuff like that, like I do think we see Chris Thompson a little bit more like we did last week. And then with Green Bay being so injured in the back end with their corners being out, I think they're going to make every effort possible to limit what James Robinson is able to do. So that is the one worry I have with Robinson, especially in DFS this week.
Does Golden Tate being active do anything for you?
No. I would have preferred Golden Tate be out just for my shares of Evan Ingram, because that would have freed up the open, the middle of the field just for Evan Ingram. But yeah, I don't think it affects really anybody.
What about Robert Tanyan? If we think the wind isn't great, we think that maybe Rodgers has to do a little bit more of a short pass. Is Tanyan somebody that, if you're scrambling for a tight end, could make a little bit of a sense?
It's hard with those Packers tight ends, man. Like, we've seen Mercedes Lewis catch a touchdown. We've seen Jay Sternberger catch a touchdown. We've seen Robert Tanyan not catch a touchdown for the last couple of weeks after his huge blow-up performance. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that tight end room there.
All right, we got a few questions rolling in. DJ Dallas or T. Higgins in the flex as a half PPR league?
Give me T. Higgins in this situation. Like I said earlier, I think this is a Travis Homer game with Seattle having to pass a ton, because Seattle's running game is probably the worst in the NFL right now, and there's no way they're going to be able to get past Aaron Donald.
So you're fine with going in the wind and seeing what happens.
Regardless of the wind, we know Cincinnati is going to be airing the ball out 35 to 40 times.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think I'm going DJ Dallas in this situation. I don't love it. I think T. Higgins is a much better player, but I think Dallas will be in the red zone having chances to score, and I think T. Higgins will not be having a ton of targets just because of the wind. We got to pick a flex. We got Josh Jacobs, we got Chase Claypool, and we got scary Terry McLaurin.
I'm going to lean McLaurin this week. Josh Jacobs was probably my favorite running back coming into this year, as I was extremely high on him. I had him like running back 5, but they seem to want to keep him healthy for the playoff stretch. They're giving a lot more run to Devontae Booker. Jalen Richard is the clear passing down guy, as we were all hoodwinked as far as Josh Jacobs seeing 60 receptions. So give me Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I am curious to see, and I think this game is a lot more passing, a lot less running. So I think Jacobs will see his 15 targets for 60 yards. Maybe he gets in the end zone. We need the start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We got 6 total, and 6 Diggs, Juju, Jefferson, Cooks, Edmonds, Duke.
Oh, Dobbins is out for me.
So you would sit Dobbins and play Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, I just worry about if Mark Ingram is active, who the hell knows what Baltimore is going to do with that backfield?
Yeah. Man, I love Brandon Cooks, but it's so hard to play him in this wind.
Yeah, but all they got to do is throw a screen pass, and Brandon Cooks could take off for 70, like we saw last week.
Or he could have 2 catches for 13 yards and be a non-factor.
That is true, but he leads the team in targets over the last few weeks, so I do think that his volume is safe.
Yeah, sit JK. I really want him to be a thing, and maybe I'm trying to force that.
He should be a thing. He's the best running back in there in Baltimore.
Yeah, C-Dog. We like Wentz over Watson this week. That's where our head's at. If you want to go the other way, totally fine. But that's where we're at this week. Yeah, the next couple weeks are going to be critical. You got to get some wins. You got to advance. Melvin Gordon or Duke Johnson?
Man, I absolutely hate Melvin Gordon. That being said, I think that the possibility of a touchdown is a lot higher for Gordon as it is Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson's going to see more volume in terms of the passing game.
Yeah.
But
so if it's PPR or even half PPR, I'm going Duke. If you just need him to fall in the end zone, it's Mel Gore. But like Philip Lindsay's just so much better. And I don't understand what's going on there. Yeah, I don't understand how the coaches are so stupid. Like I don't get it. Like they're so
money.
Like
money talks, man.
I guess so. Follow the paper trail. Cam Smith is now 3 shots back with I don't know 9-10 holes to play. So
sorry, folks. That's our Masters update.
Yeah,
Dustin Johnson is running away with the
Mike Will or Juju. Well,
oh wait.
So
is it Brandon Cooks or Juju?
Yeah, because both of those games are going to be dealing with the wind. So
if it's the 2 wind ones, let's assume.
Yeah, so if it's Juju or Cooks, so in Cincy, Pittsburgh, there's going to be sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts around 50, and then Houston, Cleveland, sustained winds of 25 plus with strong gusts that could approach 50. Yeah, long field goals won't be it's not an ideal situation for either, to be honest. It just really depends on so are we trusting a Brandon Cooks tunnel screen that goes for a touchdown, or do we think Juju gets enough in the middle of the field to kind of sustain his value potential today?
So here's where my head is at with this situation. As much as I love Brandon Cooks, the Cleveland offense is more than likely going to be able to run the ball all over that Houston defense, and they're going to dominate time of possession today, limiting the possessions of Houston. And then as opposed to the Steelers are playing a game where they're a touchdown favorite against a high volume passing offense, which may see a ton of 3 and outs, giving Pittsburgh many more possessions, many more plays. So and also something added to that is the fact that Pittsburgh, they do run kind of a quick passing scheme with a few shots kind of mixed in there. And you've seen that the last few weeks with Roethlisberger throwing those quick short slants, which is where Juju has been kind of exceeding and, being really successful the last few games. So for that, I'm taking Juju.
Agreed. What are the Chargers backfield? Are we going with the barrage? Are we going? Obviously Justin Jackson's out. Troy Maine Pope.
Man, I honestly can't touch any of these guys. I do think that Troy Maine Pope is a stash.
Yeah, I think Troy Maine Pope is definitely fun to watch and definitely has some interesting potential. So are you comfortable starting Duke Johnson, Gio Bernard, those kind of names, even like a Kareem Hunt over Kalen Ballage?
Yeah, I can't start Kalen Ballage. After last year when we thought that he was going to be the dude in Miami and he just wound up getting released. Yeah.
He's not good at football, it turns out, but if he gets volume, who cares? Okay. Antonio Gibson over Jarvis Landry in the flex. Was that is that where your head's at? That's where my head's at. Or are you playing?
Yes,
Yeah.
hell
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's Gibson, especially with that weather.
He's gonna score a touchdown today.
JD McKissick or Gio Bernard. Bernard, right?
Now that's interesting.
I mean, we talked about this passing game. Alex Smith loves to check down, and as much as we like Antonio Gibson, McKissick still gets involved in the passing game.
The only thing I'll say to that is McKissick hasn't even sniffed the end zone this year.
Yeah.
As like he doesn't really play when they get down in there. That's all Antonio Gibson. So for that reason, I'd probably lean Bernard and his touchdown equity in the Bengals offense.
Yep. I agree. All right, looking through the information to see what else pops up. Make sure there's nothing that we're missing before we move along.
Something I've been kind of mulling over the past couple days is as if somebody's in if you're in an extremely deep league and you're looking for a tight end streamer, I'd be going back to the well with an old name here in Tyler Eifert for Jacksonville, who saw 4 receptions last week. With those crazy wins, Jacksonville is probably not going to be able to get the ball down the field as much, and Luton may be looking to lean on him and James Robinson a lot today. So if you're in a pinch, I do like Tyler Eifert as like a sneaky, like good value play to get 4 to 5 receptions this week.
Yeah. Little Masters update. Cam Smith did birdie number 9, so now he's 2 shots back again. So just need Dustin to collapse a little bit, and everybody will be really happy. All right.
Everybody except for DJ bettors.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that is yeah. Twitter's just the best. It's just really the best. All right. Anything else we're looking at today? Any other lines? Any other information that?
Well, like I said, the Antonio Gibson prop play of him scoring a touchdown, I think, is almost a surefire thing. It's as surefire as Le'Veon Bell scoring a touchdown against the Jets. So
it's not going to happen.
Take that for what it's worth.
Keenan Allen. Okay. So we got a trade question. Do you Keenan Allen or Michael Thomas the rest of the season?
I mean, I think in terms of like potential upside, yeah, I really like Keenan Allen. The dude has been a target monster. He's turned into Michael Thomas West over there for the Chargers with Herbert under center.
Yeah. But I mean, Michael Thomas is so good. I don't know. But Keenan is seeing so much volume, and an offense is going to throw a lot. It's not like it's going to be one of those games where, they're going to run it 74 times or dump off to Alvin Kamara the whole time. So, what kind of value can you get from Melvin Gordon? You have to find somebody who knows him from the Chargers and still thinks he's good at football. And I'm honestly trading for somebody who has the potential to pop, whether it's Gio Bernard, whether it's I don't know, like what are some wide receiver options that you could potentially like find somebody, or like somebody like J.K. Dobbins could make sense if we assume he could get volume. But you're really trading for somebody that you think could be interesting in the playoffs and somebody's ready to give up on. All right, we have a few things rolling in here. Let's address them. Martin, we're going through them as they come in, so we're getting to you.
We're getting there.
So I traded McCaffrey, and Duke Johnson gets Zeke, Mostert, and DJ Chark. Man,
that is tough.
I'm not. I mean, you're getting DJ Chark, who of all the players is actually going to be, I think, the most helpful down the stretch. It's just hard with Zeke not having a quarterback and Mostert being injured, and the Niners not really having a reason to rush him back. Like I could see Mostert just not playing the rest of the season. So there is some risk there. We'll see what happens with CMC. There's a lot of question marks with a lot of these guys, but I think getting the one piece in DJ Chark that will keep you that you could actually make sure you'll know it will be active. Makes me feel good, but yeah, you're really banking on the Cowboys offense not being an absolute train wreck, and Raheem the Dream actually coming back and seeing volume.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think if you could swap out Raheem Mostert for somebody else with like similar kind of upside, I think that would be a more intriguing trade option, just because the viability of Mostert coming back with so many guys right now that in that backfield currently, with J. Michael Hasty doing stuff, with Jerick McKinnon, Jeff Wilson's on IR right now, Tevin Coleman's on IR right now. There's just too many mouths back there.
Yeah, and if you have Mike Davis, like I think you either need to include him in the trade or keep CMC, because I think having the combo is ideally the situation. Let's get to Nick's question. Flex, Chase Claypool, Tyler Boyd, Kareem Hunt.
I'm riding Kareem Hunt this week. I really think that with that weather, I think he's going to see 12, 15 carries.
Yep. All right, let's. Wait, so Martin, are you getting Christian McCaffrey in the deal, or are you giving up Christian McCaffrey in the deal? Because if you're getting him, I think it makes sense, especially since you have Mike Davis, and I think him and Duke will be someone you can actually play. So I think that makes sense. So Antonia Gibson props 45.5 to 50 yards. I would keep McCaffrey. That's the side I would want.
Yeah, I just think when McCaffrey's healthy, he's in a different galaxy in terms of like his value to that team, and in terms of fantasy as well. I mean, he's the most expensive player on DFS this week, even though he was ruled out. He's like $1,000 more than the next best running back, even with the season that Alvin Kamara is having. That just goes to show you like how well thought of McCaffrey is in the fantasy world.
So I'm looking at Antonia Gibson props. He's got 45 to 50 yards rushing. He's got his over under is 12.5 attempts. His receiving yards is like 15 to 18. Receptions 2.5. I feel like
I love the over on that.
Yeah, 3 catches for 20 yards feels incredibly realistic. All right, Noah Fant or Rob Gronkowski?
Oh man, I like Noah Fant as a guy who Drew Lock's buddy from Missouri, Agabala, however the heck you say his name. He was placed on IR recently, and Jake Butt's already on IR, and the only other tight end that Denver has is Nick Bonnett, who is not a receiving option. So Noah Fant, he came off the injury report this week. He's fully practiced. He's full go. He is probably the number 2 option in the passing game to Jerry Jeudy right now. So yeah, I'd probably go Fant.
And then of the running backs, Cordero Patterson, Mike Davis, Duke Johnson. I think if you have to sit one, it's Cordero Patterson pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm not placing any trust in Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, he's just not that good, and I don't care if he gets 20 carries, he's gonna run into the line and fall down like 80% of the time. Like I would start Kalen Ballage over him.
Whoa, come on, that is such a shot at Cordero Patterson's skill set.
They're the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. They're both glorified wide receivers that can't play running back. That both, just not very good. All right, Brian. I think if there's no other questions in the chat, we can call it here. We can get set for our week 10. I'm gonna melt down over these Masters final round. Hopefully get some pull a Cam Smith winner and be very happy and enjoy the rest of my Sunday. Otherwise, I will. And I do appreciate Ohio State taking the week off. The Titans playing on Thursday, even if they suck. And Michigan really took a week off too. That was nice of them.
I was just gonna say, yeah, Michigan. They had a bye week this week as well.
Oh, Bars, that is amazing trade. Congratulations.
Yes, that is
that is exactly how it's done.
hell yeah. That
You
deserves
send AB for DK Metcalf, who you don't have to worry about. Now he needs a flex, or she, I'm not sure. Travis Fulham, Leo Fournette, DJ Dallas. Standard. There's no PPR option here, but I still think it's the receiver in Travis Fulham for me. What do you think?
Yep, I completely agree. I just think his role in this offense is it's set forth for the future. He is the downfield passing guy. So give me Fulham.
Yeah, like I like Fournette a little bit today, especially because it's just a good matchup for them to actually run the ball. But
hey, you never know.
Yeah, I don't want to make assumptions. But yeah, Travis Fulham is the one I would definitely go with. Like Dallas and Fournette are fine options if you are like scrambling at running back, but I think if you have somebody who you think, Fulham should see, 7 to 10 targets today, even with a little bit of wind, I still think he has a chance to have a nice opportunity here. Okay.
And let's just say that knowing Bruce Arians and everybody is all over Leonard Fournette now, this is going to be the week that Ronald Jones gets his roll back, carries the ball 15 times for 80 yards, and scores 2 touchdowns down by the goal line. So
don't tease me like that, Ryan. I'm so ready for it.
Yeah, and he's going to be sitting on all of my benches this week too.
Oh no, you got to play him. It's a perfect spot for him. Okay, so thanks to everybody who hopped on. Thanks to everybody who joined. At FPAOP on Twitter. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, to turn on the bell notifications. When we go live, we post content every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. So for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to y'all next time.